We will begin the Dharma talk. Traditionally, we always begin with the Song of Zazen. So please open your sutra books to page 39. Song of Zazen. Sentient beings are from the very beginning Buddhas. It is like ice and water. Apart from water, no ice can exist. Outside sentient beings, where do we find the Buddhas? Not knowing how near the truth is, we seek it far away. What a pity. We are like a person who, in the midst of water, cries and thirsts so imploringly. We are like a child of a rich house who has wandered away among the poor. The cause of our circling through the six worlds is that we are on the dark paths of ignorance, going astray further and further in the darkness. When are we able to be free from birth and death? As for Zazen practice of the Mahayana, it is beyond all our praise. The virtues of perfection, such as charity, morality, and the invocation of the Buddha's name, confession and ascetic discipline, and many other good deeds of merit, all these return to this. Even those who have practiced meditation for just one sitting will see all their twisted karma erased. Nowhere will they find twisted paths. With the pure land will be near at hand. With a reverent heart, if we listen to this truth even once, and praise it and gladly embrace it, we will surely be blessed most infinitely. If we concentrate within and testify to the truth that self-nature is no nature, we have really gone beyond vain words. The gate of the oneness of cause and effect is open. The path of non-duality and true clarity runs straight ahead. To regard the form of no form as form, whether going or returning, we cannot be any place else. To regard the thought of no thought as thought, whether singing or dancing, we are the voice of the Dharma. How boundless the clear sky of Samadhi, how transparent the perfect moonlight of the fourfold wisdom. At this moment, what more need we seek? As the truth eternally reveals itself, this very place is the lotus paradise. This very body is the Buddha.
Hi, everybody, whatever time of day it is for you. It's lovely to see you all. Uh, I feel maybe a little bad for all of you because some of you probably think that I know what I'm about to say and that I have some prepared wisdom of some sort to share with you. So there is still time to find something better to do with the rest of your day. You're welcome to drop off. I was asked about a week ago what the title of my Dharma talk was going to be, and I don't have a title. I have no idea what I'm going to say. And so they were nice enough to just say, okay, well, fine. We'll just say you're giving a Dharma talk. So when I gave my first few Dharma talks as a priest at Zen River Sangha, I gave my first 2, 3, whatever it was. And at some point, Manju, I'm sure a lot of you knew, was one of the priests at Zen River. He took me aside and he was very serious. And he said, your Dharma talk, it's fine. They're fine, but they're too prepared, right? He said, traditionally, these are extemporaneous. You don't prepare things. You just show up and the Dharma flows through you. And so stop preparing so much. So to this day, I don't actually know whether that's traditionally true or if he was just bamboozling me wonderfully. But he was brilliant and we loved him, and I thought, okay, I'll take this as a challenge. At least my next Dharma talk, I will not prepare and I'll just show up and see what happens. And this was just such a lovely teaching for me that I needed so much at the time and still need, because my personality and my predilection, I was very, I had corporate training experience and forensics and drama and background and public speaking. And so I prepared, I was lecturing, right? It's like I wasn't giving a Dharma talk so much as I was giving a lecture, and I would have my notes and I'd have it all outlined, and I was holding on really tightly, a lot of which made sense, thinking back. It's like, oh, I was young and really wanted to impress all of the other cool priests at Zen River. And for God's sake, sometimes Jumpo and Vakara would come to my Dharma talks. It was just incredibly, anxiety producing. So, but when I stopped worrying so much about it and really relaxed into it and just let it happen, that was a great teaching for me about not being so attached to how things were going to turn out, right? And so this wonderful practice of non-attachment. And we say, so we did the Song of Zazen, which is great, because traditionally we say that because now whatever comes out of the mouth of whoever the person is that's doing the teaching for the day, just ignore it. Just go back to the Song of Zazen, right? That's where it is. Everything else is just the entertainment. And I think when we say in our sutra, the Great Wisdom Heart Sutra, so nothing to be attained, right? No attainment, nothing to be attained. And for me, I know that I learned that about myself and my practice well ahead of when I was able to apply it to my relationship with other people. And so for that, I mean, is I was able to kind of sort out, and I think a lot of us are, it's like, okay, no attainment, nothing to be attained. We're sitting here, we're doing this practice, we don't have an idea of what's going to come of it for us. We don't have a specific goal in mind. We are just sitting and seeing what happens. Beginner's mind, pure experience. But for me, it took a lot longer, and I still haven't always quite worked out how the no attainment or the no attachment means in my relationship with other people. And so this comes out different ways, I think, for different people. So some of us here are priests and some of us here are lay practitioners. For me as a priest, and it's just coming up for me right now because I talked a little bit about not being told to not prepare my Dharma talks. So it came up with this idea of, I want to do this right? I want to transmit correctly. I want to have my talk resonate for the people who are hearing it. I want this to land, right? So at ZRS, after we give the Dharma talk, we have time for open discussion and feedback in the circle. And, you want not crickets, right? So you're hoping that someone has something to say when you're done talking. So it's not just this, all right, and we're done. These things that I would really be attached to. Or sometimes, priests will have someone new show up for a sit or a service or a class and will be like, oh, I really hope they keep coming. I hope they get something out of this. Or there'll be somebody that we see every day on our program or at our Zendo for a long time, and we really hope that they keep coming, right? We really get attached to, are they going to show up? Are they going to, oh, they're not here. They haven't been here for a while. Should I reach out? Should I? And so this is not to say that we don't reach out or that we don't see how we're serving people or where we're maybe missing the mark as a community or as a teacher, but it's very good, I know, for me to be aware of my attachment to, what I think my Zenning should be making other people do. And I think for all of this shows up in personal relationships. So, I think back to when I really started this practice and really getting into it, and seeing the impact that it had for me and how I showed up and how I was able to show up. And then you just get really excited and jazzed and you want to share this with other people. And maybe that means you want somebody to come to the sit with you, or you want to, have them take this seriously like you take it seriously, or whatever it is. Or, I'm doing my Mondo practice and I feel like I'm nailing it, right? Like I got this emotional koan stuff down, and it's this other person who's being reactive, right? If they were mondoing right and then they were zenning right, I wouldn't be having this problem, right? So this really fun thing comes up for me over and over. Um, this idea that, this practice in this way is what is going to work specifically for everyone the way that I want it to. So this really interesting attachment to an idea of uh, helping other people attain something, right? It's just like, I'm not here to attain something, but all of you sure need to be working on attaining something, because so, and this is lovely because so it's really good to know what we care about. So there's something very earnest and very skillful about doing this practice, showing up, doing our work. Jimpo would joke sometimes we all have to do our own time, right? It's just like everybody, we're all doing our own time on the cushion. We can't do this for anyone else. We can't give anyone's seat to them. But there's also the truth that we can't, or we oughtn't be attached to this idea that, well, if we just do it right or get it right or transmit it correctly, the people around us will do this certain set of things that we think would maybe be best for them. Maybe it would be best for them, maybe not. Very hard for us to know. And another one of those places of attachment where we can get this idea that if it was so, if it was just like this, it would be better, right? So this is an interesting one. It's good, like I said, it's good to know what we care about. Something very earnest and very sincere and very skillful about wanting to show up with this practice. But we still have our choice of, like, it shows us what we care about. So I have this deep caring about how I show up in the world and how I'm able to show up for other people and how we are in relationship to one another. But I still have responsibility to do my own work in terms of how I have that desire and that caring show up. And so when I have that desire, that caring show up in ways that require other people to act in certain ways or not act in certain ways or do a certain sort of path or not do a certain sort of path or whatever it is, I'm setting myself up for failure, for suffering, for not being able to show up the way that I want to. Because that is, well, we all understand that we have just the illusions of apparent individuated selves. And it's a little strange to be saying, as a Mahayana Buddhist, that I can't do this for you. But really, it's like, I can't do this for anyone else. And whatever I think this is maybe not what someone else needs for their path and for their experience that they're having. So good for me to know. So I can take this caring and I can take this earnestness and I can show up. So we talk about transmission a lot in Buddhism and in Zen circles. So we talk about the importance of transmission, right? It's like, oh, we're doing Manda with somebody or they're giving a Dharma talk and they're really transmitting. That's great. It's wonderful to want to transmit. It's wonderful to want to show up in our lives in a way that is compassionate and energized and changed in some way from the behavior that we felt was not serving us and our families before. But, there's also this, we just really need to be careful and cognizant that when we're transmitting, we're not too hung up on our concept of someone else's receiving. So transmit, we do our best, we show up, but we do need to watch ourselves for this kind of attachment to what our showing up and doing the work necessarily means for other people around us, whether that is people that we're giving Dharma talks to, whether that's people that we're studying with, whether that's people who don't have anything to do with Zen or any other particular spiritual path, but we're in relationship with. So really kind of watching, it's like, and we can use this as an emotional koan, as a piece of practice for ourselves. So when we see this arising, I'm doing this, therefore I want or I expect you to be doing that. I'm doing my work, I want you to show up differently. Or I'm doing this priest thing in this certain way, and I want people to show up and connect with what it is that I'm doing and saying. It's like, oh, how interesting, right? So this doesn't mean we don't set boundaries. This doesn't mean that in relationship with people, we don't say, hey, I'm doing this work and I'm showing up, and it's really important to me that we are able to communicate, or that, you respect this piece of my life, or whatever it is. It's not really talking about the kind of nuts and bolts of just good practical communication. I'm trying to really get at the arising within us of this attachment to a certain idea of how it should look for and with other people. And so, when Manju said to me, don't prepare your Dharma talks, just poof, right? It's like he took away from me in the most beautiful way this idea that what I'm doing as a priest, as a teacher, as a whatever, right? Whatever I'm doing, it's not for anything, right? It's not looking for a specific thing to happen. It's the same as the rest of our practice. So we show up, we pay attention, and we continually kind of watch ourselves, address our behaviors. It's a cycle, right? So it's not always something where it's like, I think, oh, I'm going to change this, and then next time I do it, it's changed. We think, I have this intention to change this in myself. I have this intention to adopt this. Next time, it probably happens the same way. We catch it on the back end. Next time, we catch it as we're doing it. Next time, we catch it a little closer. So it's not a process of thinking ahead and necessarily changing ahead. It's this iterative, continuous process of, this is arising in me. I'm aware of this. I don't want this to show up in a way that is unskillful or generates suffering either for myself or other people. So how interesting. So I really appreciated this correction that I got from Manju, and learning, especially from the other ZRS priests, watching them do this. So sometimes, we have an anecdote, or we have something will come up in Daison or Dokusan that really pings us in a certain way, or Taisa will bring in a poem and he'll kind of craft his Dharma talk around that. But we also say in our sutra book that, with each moment's arising flash of our normal feelings and thoughts, so we're showing up skillfully and appropriately in a apparently time-bound moment in our practice, and we can trust that because we've been doing the practice. So again, it's iterative. It can be difficult at times, but we show up skillfully and appropriately. Every one of you who's doing this work and doing this, you're transmitting. So you go about your daily lives, you're doing it, you're showing up, and it's beautiful and it's lovely. Keep doing that. Definitely not saying don't do that. But I know for me, I have to continue to be aware of thinking that my doing that is going to have a certain outcome, or being attached to what I'm showing up as and what that shows up as for other people. So we have a few minutes, so we might as well open this up and see if if anything's arising for people, if anybody's got comments, topics. Lovely to see all of you. So, and no pressure, but I really hope you like the Dharma talk. So.
I just have one word, Liaoran. Yeah, one word, crickets.
Thank you, Liaoran. That was definitely a Dharma talk that transmitted to me, because that's very much my personal work in the world, is stop trying to fix everything for me and everybody else. What came up for me too was this from the Qigong, this instruction of underdoing, and how that seems to run through all of this practice in a really important way, which you highlighted with your talk. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
You don't need my thoughts on that. You got this.
I was just going to say that if you don't prepare your talk, then you're kind of talking from your heart. And I think that's really good, to be coming from your heart, what comes out from the right moment, this moment being here now.
I just like to say thank you, because tomorrow and on Wednesday I will have 2 talks about depression and work life, and I'm preparing a lot of it. So and then I thought like, wait a moment. I mean, to prepare in such professional things, because they need to see some slides or whatever, is probably helpful, but the other hand, or just the energy level with what I can show up now might be different. So thank you. And it was lovely. I just like to share. My mother said in between, I have no fucking idea what this beautiful guy says.
But I have to add something.
Okay.
I heard you talking about Manju, and I never talked to him, but I have a connection. Maybe Senshin could explain better than I have a little connection with him. And as you said, he told you, don't prepare your Dharma talk. There was a rock falling down off my heart. It frees me when I hear him in memory say to you, don't prepare your Dharma talk. I can say it's right. It's so right. It feels so right. And I thank you for telling us this. Thank you.
Zenshin, one thing I would like to say to you about your talk is when you have something that you have direct experience with from your heart, the authenticity that you bring to that is the most important gift that you have in anyone who is there to receive. So in this way, any detection of preparedness would probably be something less than what you intended. And I'm becoming a big fan of underdoing through Qigong, because it's like a big medicine for somebody who is constantly plagued with being perfect and pleasing everyone. So underdoing is good practice for me.
Well, thank you all very much. Also, you know, at ZRS, we're smart enough to not record these and put them on the internet. So there's that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Liaoran, for such a wonderful and insightful talk. I will have to consider a lot